Okay, so this is your feedback for evaluation question 4. Okay, so at the start what you want to be doing here is putting some form of introduction, introducing what the question is about, and maybe a definition of what digital technology is. If you look at Terra House's example, you can see that they've put like a kind of paragraph there talking about what it lets you do, how you've used it, why it's basically just answer the question there, really, talking about why it's useful. So if we move on, talked about SurveyMonkey, why you've used it, very good. And you've mentioned about the fact it shows you results in the graph form, very good. Next one, ThingLink, and you've got some examples here, very good, and you've talked about how you've used it. And then emails at the bottom here, very good. What you could talk about in this section, of course, is the fact that you actually added a soundtrack over this as well, where you actually spoke about the dialogue and you used this program here, OBS, to do so with emails. Good, so you've got Weebly and you've linked to your website there. Might be good. Oh, there we go, you've taken some. That's very good, so you've taken some stuff there. Excellent, well done. Moving on to the construction section, so we talked about InDesign. Very good, and there's your cover. Excellent. So what would be useful is if you could actually show the construction of not just the final thing. So again, if you look at their example here where they're talking about the work itself, you can see that, here they've actually done a video showing you how they actually did it themselves. This is their own work, their horror work. They did it as a kind of time-lapse video. Or the other thing we can do is, of course, is just put it in Photoshop and turn the layers off to see what it looked like. We're changing some of these words, but it is important that you've actually got not just the final product, but the kind of development of the work. As in like the layers and stuff like that. Quite important. Show me where you put in the handprints on and stuff. Okay, good. Excellent. So again, we want to see the construction of it, which is nice. You've got that there. That's very good. Talk about the tools you've used. You could do close-ups on those tools, which would be useful. I think you need a little bit more here, because that reads exactly the same. Yeah, that reads the same, so I think you need more text in this that's actually talking about how you've done it and what tools you've used. So this needs a lot more detail. Again, I'll direct you to Terra House's one, where they've talked about why they did it, what they did specifically. This is quite general, so I want to know, for example, where you've done the opacity, where you've managed to put these laurels over it on a different layer, how you managed to do the blend of the hand at the bottom, where it goes into darkness, all the elements on there. So break it down a bit more, as you can see Terra House have done here, particularly with this stuff. Yeah, that's really important. You've got all this, breaking it down. Okay, so you've got about Premiere. This is good. You've got a shot of your construction window. So we kind of need to go into a lot more detail here, because that's nowhere near enough. So you need to be showing me what the hell is this? What tools did you use from your toolbar over here? What did it look like as you were editing it? What's all this? Bless me. What's all this down the bottom here? How did you balance the layers of sound? So there's a lot to talk about here. This is pretty empty, really, what you've got here. It should be a lot more, as you can see these guys have talked about, like with all this stuff. And you could also see these guys have talked about here with Final Cut, with a fair amount of detail. I'm still scrolling. See, there we go. Look, so you can see they've talked about Logic Pro, and how then I've used all this kind of stuff as well. So yeah, maybe just give me a bit more detail. That looks unfinished. You need to show me the pictures and tell me what's going on there. Okay, so I'm not sure what's happening here. We're into the evaluation. This is talking about magazine and poster. This is the actual making of the evaluation we're talking about now. So this is important, because that's how you collected your info, but it's not finished. We don't have the info on there. And then obviously there's no conclusion. And you talk about the production stage. It's not. It's the evaluation stage. Again, you talk about smoke particles. We're not. We're talking about how you've used this during the evaluation stage, etc., etc. So where it says evaluation, this is about the evaluation stage, as indeed the question says evaluation stage. So at the moment I've got Megan's work there. I'm not sure who did this bit, because there's no name. but certainly I think as a team, it's not representative of everyone doing the work. So at the moment, I can only really give Megan the marks because it's only her name up there, and I'll just presume that she's done all of this. So as the work of one person for Megan, it's certainly there's some mistakes in it. It's not fully answering the question, so I couldn't give it the C because it doesn't address all three questions. But I could certainly give it into the sort of high D range. But that would mean, unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to give marks to the rest of the group because I've got no evidence of contribution there. Thanks very much.